Fiancée hooked up with everybody at her bachelorette party, so I vanished quietly before the wedding. And what happened next left everyone speechless. Hey everyone! Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. This is going to be a long one, so buckle up. Never thought I'd be posting here, but I need to get this off my chest, and maybe my story will help someone else who's going through something similar. Apologies in advance for any formatting issues. I'm typing this on my phone during my lunch break at work. I, 32 male, was supposed to get married last weekend to my fiancée Rachel, 29 female, of 3 years. We'd been together for 5 years total, living together for most of it, and our relationship was solid. Or so I believed. A bit of background: I'm a civil engineer at a well-established construction firm. Not wealthy by any means, but I've worked my way up to a project manager position that pays well enough. I bought a modest 4-bedroom house in the suburbs 2 years ago, because property in our area is still relatively affordable compared to the big cities. I've always been careful with my finances. My dad went bankrupt when I was in high school after some bad investments, and I swore I'd never put myself in that position. I watched how the bankruptcy destroyed my parents' marriage and tore our family apart. My mom had to work 2 jobs just to keep food on the table, and I started working at 16 to help out. Those experiences shaped me. I have about $180,000 in savings and investments, plus the house, which has appreciated nicely since I bought it. Nothing extravagant, but I'm proud of what I've built through hard work and discipline. I also have a 7-year-old daughter, Emma, from a previous relationship. Her mom's not really in the picture. She decided motherhood wasn't her thing and moved to California when Emma was 2. I've had full custody since then. The first year as a single dad was brutal, trying to balance work, daycare, and keeping a small human alive and happy while dealing with my own heartbreak. But Emma and I figured it out together, and now we're an awesome team. She's the brightest, most compassionate kid you'll ever meet, always bringing home stray animals or giving her lunch to classmates who forgot theirs. I'm not just saying that because I'm her dad. Her teachers consistently tell me how kind she is to everyone. Rachel knew about Emma from day one and initially seemed supportive, calling herself Emma's bonus mom and making a big show of taking her shopping or to girl-themed activities. I was so grateful that my daughter would have a maternal figure in her life that I ignored some early warning signs, like how Rachel would complain about our date nights being interrupted if Emma had a nightmare, or how she'd make passive-aggressive comments about my parenting being too soft. Once, when Emma was having a meltdown after a long day at school, Rachel muttered under her breath, "This is why I never wanted kids." She thought I didn't hear it, but I did. I should have paid more attention to those red flags. Rachel went on her bachelorette trip to Vegas with 7 of her friends 2 weekends before the wedding. I wasn't worried at all. We trusted each other completely. I figured they'd have some fun at the casinos, see some shows, maybe hit a few clubs. Standard bachelorette stuff. I even dropped her off at the airport, kissed her goodbye, and told her to have fun. Emma and I had a daddy-daughter weekend planned anyway. We built a blanket fort in the living room, made homemade pizzas, and binge-watched all the Studio Ghibli movies. It was awesome. While Rachel was gone, I hung out with Emma, finalized some wedding details, and picked up my tux. Everything was normal. She texted me throughout the trip saying how much fun they were having, how she missed me, the usual stuff. She came back Sunday night looking tired but happy, and said they had a blast. She brought Emma a little snow globe from Vegas, and me a cheesy I Heart Vegas t-shirt. Everything seemed fine. Then, Wednesday night, 3 days before our wedding, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. "You should see what your fiancée did at her bachelorette party. She is not who you think she is." There was a video attachment. I almost deleted it thinking it was spam or a scam, but something made me open it. Maybe it was instinct, or maybe part of me already knew something wasn't right. Either way, I clicked on it. What I saw destroyed me. It was Rachel with 2 guys in what looked like a hotel room. They were both doing things to her. She wasn't incoherent or acting out of character. She was fully participating and encouraging them. At one point, she looked at the camera, smiled, and said, "What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? Besides, Dan's always working or with his kid. A girl needs some real attention." Then she laughed. I watched the entire thing. 3 minutes and 42 seconds that ended my relationship and the future I had planned. I felt physically sick. I barely made it to the bathroom before throwing up everything in my stomach. Then I just sat on the bathroom floor, numb, trying to process what I'd just seen. The worst part wasn't even the physical cheating, though that was bad enough. It was hearing her mock me and my daughter, hearing the disdain in her voice when she talked about me always being with my kid, as if being a dedicated father was something to be ashamed of. It revealed her true feelings about us, about the life we'd built together. I realized in that moment that the woman I thought I loved, the woman I was going to marry in 3 days, didn't exist. She was a mirage, a performance put on to get what she wanted from me. I didn't confront her immediately. I needed to think. I spent the night in our spare bedroom claiming I didn't feel well. I barely slept, just stared at the ceiling, replaying the video in my mind, questioning every moment of our relationship. Had there been signs I missed? Was this the first time, or just the first time she got caught? When she came in to check on me in the morning, it took everything I had not to break down or lash out. I just mumbled something about a stomach bug and said I'd be fine. The next morning, while she was at her final dress fitting with her mom, I called my best man Jake and asked him to come over urgently. When he arrived, I showed him the video. He was as shocked as I was. I needed someone else to confirm what I was seeing was real, that I wasn't overreacting or misinterpreting something. "What are you going to do?" he asked after a long silence. "I'm not getting married," I said. The words felt surreal coming out of my mouth, but also brought a strange clarity. The decision had been made the moment I saw that video. Jake helped me pack essential stuff for me and Emma while Rachel was out. I focused on the practical: clothes, toiletries, Emma's favorite stuffed animals, and school supplies. Jake suggested I take important documents too: birth certificates, financial records, anything that would be a hassle to replace. Smart thinking. I wrote Rachel a note that simply said, "I know what happened in Vegas. The wedding is off." I left my key and her engagement ring, which cost me $12,000. She had insisted on at least 2 carats, even though I wanted to stay under $5,000, on top of it. The ring had been a point of contention early in our engagement. I wanted something modest and meaningful. She wanted something that would make her friends jealous. I gave in because I thought it would make her happy. Just one of many compromises that, in retrospect, only went one way. I picked Emma up early from school, telling her we were going on a little adventure to stay with Uncle Jake for a few days. She was confused but excited. Jake was her favorite of my friends and had an awesome dog she loved to play with. I moved us into Jake's place temporarily and turned off my phone. I knew I'd have to deal with the fallout eventually, but I couldn't face it yet. I needed time to get my head straight and figure out how to explain to my daughter that the wedding was off, that Rachel wouldn't be in our lives anymore. I couldn't deal with the inevitable shitstorm. When I turned it back on Saturday morning, what would have been our wedding day, I had 53 missed calls and over 70 texts from Rachel, her family, and some of our mutual friends. The texts from Rachel went from confused, "Where are you?" to panicked, "Please call me," to admitting everything. "I made a terrible mistake. Please let me explain," to angry, "You couldn't even face me like a man," to begging, "I'll do anything to fix this," to threatening, "You'll regret this, I swear." Her parents called too, first angry that I abandoned their precious daughter, then confused when they found out why. Her father left a particularly nasty voicemail calling me a coward and saying, "Real men work through problems, not run away from them." This from the man who had cheated on his own wife multiple times, according to Rachel. The hypocrisy was stunning. Apparently, Rachel finally told them what happened when they couldn't reach me, though I later found out she gave them a heavily sanitized version of events. I sent a mass text to our invited guests. "Due to unforeseen circumstances, the wedding has been canceled. I apologize for the inconvenience." Then I sent one to Rachel. "There's nothing to discuss. It's over." I turned my phone off again after that and spent the day taking Emma to the zoo, trying to maintain some normalcy for her sake while my world was imploding. It's been a week now. I got a temporary apartment and started the process of separating our lives. It's a 2-bedroom place in a decent school district. Nothing fancy but clean and safe. I've been trying to establish new routines for Emma: breakfast together every morning, reading before bed every night. Structure helps kids feel secure during upheaval, according to the parenting books I've been frantically reading. Emma's been a trooper through all this, though she keeps asking when we're going back home. I've explained that Rachel did something very bad, and we can't live with her anymore. The way Emma nodded and said, "I know she doesn't really like me anyway," broke my heart. Kids pick up on so much more than we give them credit for. She told me that Rachel would act different when I wasn't around. Colder, more impatient, sometimes ignoring Emma completely when she tried to show her things she'd made at school. She would pretend to listen, but she was always looking at her phone, Emma said. Each of these revelations feels like a fresh knife to the gut. How did I not see this happening under my own roof? I blocked Rachel on everything, but she keeps finding ways to contact me. New email addresses, mutual friends' phones, even a hand-delivered letter to my office. She said it was a stupid mistake and that it didn't mean anything, that she was caught up in the moment and peer pressure from her friends. But I saw the video. She knew exactly what she was doing. The calculated look in her eyes when she badmouthed me to those strangers. The casual way she dismissed my daughter's importance in my life. That wasn't a mistake. That was her true self peeking through the mask. Her sister, who wasn't at the Bachelorette, reached out to me yesterday. She said Rachel is a wreck, has barely eaten, and cries constantly. She begged me to at least talk to her. I said no. The sister then had the audacity to say, she made one mistake. Haven't you ever made a mistake? I replied, a mistake is forgetting to pay a bill or burning dinner. Sleeping with two strangers on camera while insulting your fiancé and his child is a deliberate series of choices. The sister hung up on me after that. Other people have been reaching out too. Some friends to offer support, others to berate me for overreacting. My mom came down from upstate to help with Emma for a few days, which has been a lifesaver. She never liked Rachel much, said she had calculating eyes, but kept her opinion to herself because she wanted me to be happy. I should have listened to her. Moms usually know best. Maybe I should have confronted Rachel directly instead of leaving. But I couldn't bear to look at her knowing what she did. The thought of standing at that altar saying vows about fidelity and trust when she had already broken them? I just couldn't do it. And honestly, I was afraid of what I might say or do in the heat of the moment. Walking away was the cleanest break. I know some people think I was harsh just leaving like that. But how do you come back from something like this? How could I ever trust her again? The woman I love betrayed me in the worst way possible right before our wedding and insulted me and my daughter in the process. Every time I'd look at her, I'd see that video playing in my head. Every time she was late coming home from work, I'd wonder who she was with. That's no way to live. The pain and humiliation are overwhelming. I've been throwing myself into work and taking care of Emma to avoid dealing with my feelings. But they catch up with me at night when the apartment is quiet. I'm not sure what happens next. I'm just taking it day by day. But there's no going back. Some lines, once crossed, can't be uncrossed. 2 weeks in and I found out who sent me the video. It was the girlfriend of one of the guys Rachel slept with. Apparently, he'd been bragging about it, and she found the video on his phone. She found out who Rachel was through social media detective work and sent it to me anonymously. I'm grateful she did, though part of me wishes I could still be blissfully ignorant. But no, that's not true. Better to know the truth, no matter how painful, than live a lie. The woman, Tara, reached out to me through Facebook. She apologized for the anonymous message, but said she would want to know if she were in my position. Turns out her boyfriend had a history of cheating, and this was the last straw for her too. We had a long conversation about the pain of betrayal and the difficulty of starting over. It was strangely therapeutic talking to someone who understood exactly what I was going through. We've kept in touch, nothing romantic, just two people helping each other through a tough time. Rachel finally showed up at my new apartment, must have gotten the address from a mutual friend, crying and begging for a chance to explain. She looked terrible. Unwashed hair, puffy eyes, wearing sweatpants and an old t-shirt of mine she must have taken from the house. For a second, I felt a pang of sympathy. Then I remembered the look on her face in that video, and my heart hardened again. I let her in because I was tired of her causing scenes in the hallway, and I didn't want Emma to see this drama if she came home from school early. Her explanation was exactly what I expected. It was just physical. It didn't mean anything. I love you. It was a mistake, etc. The same BS excuses cheaters always use. She tried to minimize what happened, saying she'd had too many energy drinks and got caught up in the party atmosphere. She claimed she didn't remember saying those things about me and Emma, that it didn't sound like her. When I offered to show her the video again, she broke down sobbing. What was interesting, though, was finding out what really happened. According to Rachel, they were all out at this club, and her friends were encouraging her to have one last fling. She admitted the guys weren't random. They were men they'd met the night before and had been hanging out with throughout the weekend. She swore it was just that one time, but then broke down and admitted she'd made out with one of them the previous night too. When I asked about what she said about me always working and about Emma, she just shrugged and said she was playing a role, as if that made it better somehow. The more she talked, the more the truth came out. It wasn't just a spontaneous mistake. There was flirting, planning, and deliberate choices made repeatedly over multiple days. The worst part? Some of her bridesmaids not only encouraged it, but filmed it. These were women who were supposed to stand beside us at our wedding. Women I considered friends. Women who had smiled to my face at the engagement party, while apparently thinking it was okay for my fiancé to cheat on me. They said I was just getting it out of my system, Rachel explained, as if that justified everything. Megan said all brides do something crazy at their bachelorette parties, that it doesn't count because it's tradition. Megan was her maid of honor, a woman I'd known for years, who had hugged me and called me the brother she never had. The betrayal went deeper than just Rachel. When I pointed this out, she got defensive and said, "It's normal to have a final fling before marriage. Lots of people do it. Besides, you're always so uptight about money and spending all your time with your kid." I just needed to let loose. The fact that she was still trying to justify her actions, still trying to shift blame onto me, told me everything I needed to know about her character. That's when I lost it. Normal? You think betraying someone you claim to love is normal? You think participating in a threesome a week before our wedding on camera and insulting me and my daughter is normal? She started crying harder, saying I was being cruel and unforgiving, that if I really loved her, I would understand it was a mistake and try to work through it. "Everyone deserves a second chance," she sobbed, reaching for my hand. I pulled away. I laughed, a bitter sound that surprised even me. "If you really loved me, you wouldn't have slept with two guys at your bachelorette party and insulted the man who's been supporting you and the child you claim to care about. Love doesn't do that, Rachel." She tried another tack then, reminding me of all our good times, the trips we'd taken, the plans we'd made. "We can still have that life, Dan. I'll do therapy, couples counseling, whatever it takes. I'll prove to you that I can be trusted again." But all I could hear was the echo of her voice in that video. "A girl needs some real attention." She left after that, but not before saying something that chilled me. "You'll regret throwing away everything we built over one mistake. Who's going to want you with all your baggage and a kid?" It didn't sound like remorse. It sounded like a threat. The mask had slipped again, revealing the true Rachel underneath, the one who saw my daughter as baggage rather than the amazing little person she is. After she left, I sat on the couch for a long time, thinking about how close I'd come to legally binding myself to this woman, how close I'd come to giving her access to all my assets, to making her Emma's stepmother. Sometimes the worst things that happen to you turn out to be the best things that could have happened. This was definitely one of those times. Sure enough, she's now telling people I was controlling and emotionally abusive, which is complete BS. She's playing the victim, saying I abandoned her without giving her a chance to explain, and that I'm punishing her for one mistake. Some mutual friends are actually taking her side. It's amazing how quickly people can turn on you, how willing they are to believe the worst without asking for your side of the story. I've had friends I've known for years text me saying things like, "I always thought you had anger issues," or "Rachel told us how you'd check her phone and control what she wore." Complete fabrications. I've never checked anyone's phone in my life. I'm a big believer in privacy. And as for controlling what she wore, Rachel spent more on clothes in a month than I did in a year. If anything, I encouraged her to dress however made her happy. The most hurtful was when our couple friends Mark and Sarah canceled our monthly dinner plans with a vague excuse. I later saw on Instagram that they were out with Rachel that same night, all smiles and supportive hashtags about being there for friends in need. These were people who had vacationed with us, who had seen firsthand how I treated Rachel with nothing but respect. Yet they chose to believe her lies without even asking me what happened. It's been eye-opening to see how shallow some friendships really are. On the financial front, it's a mess. We're fighting over who's responsible for what wedding costs. Her parents paid the deposits for most things, but many vendors had final payments due the week before, which came from my personal account. Red flag. She never contributed to our joint account despite making $85,000 at her marketing job. She's demanding I pay her back her half, since I'm the one who canceled. I refused. I'm not paying for a wedding that didn't happen because she cheated. What's worse, I found out she'd maxed out 3 credit cards, over $32,000 in debt, that I didn't know about, buying designer clothes and shoes for the honeymoon. She's now demanding I help pay those off since they were for our marriage. The entitlement is unreal. She actually texted me, "You know I was counting on combining our finances after the wedding. I wouldn't have spent so much if I didn't think we'd be using your savings to clear my debt." So basically, she was planning to use my hard-earned money to bail her out of her irresponsible spending all along. I've talked to a lawyer about the financial stuff and the house. Thankfully, it's only in my name. She'd been pressuring me to add her to the deed before the wedding, saying it would show my commitment to our future. The lawyer thinks I'm in the clear since we weren't married yet, but it's still a headache. She's threatening to sue me for emotional distress and financial damages. My lawyer says it's all hot air, but it's still stressful. I've been documenting everything. Every text, every email, every interaction, just in case. One positive, I found out who my real friends are. Jake and a few others have had my back 100%, while some friends are either believing Rachel's BS or saying I should consider forgiveness. One couple we were close with, Mark and Lisa, actually came over last night with pizza and beer, just to check on me and Emma. They said they never really trusted Rachel, but didn't want to say anything. She always seemed to be calculating what people were worth to her, Lisa said. The way she dropped friends who couldn't help her career or social status was a major red flag. I've started finding out more about Rachel's true character from people who knew her before me. Apparently, she has a history of dating financially successful guys, milking them for gifts and status, then moving on when something better comes along. One ex told me she cheated on him with his boss because he had a bigger house. Seems I dodged a bullet with this gold digger. What's been most surprising is how many people have reached out to share similar experiences with Rachel that they never told me about before. A colleague confided that Rachel had hit on him at the company Christmas party last year when I was home with a sick Emma. A neighbor mentioned seeing her come home extremely late several times when I was out of town for work, sometimes with different cars dropping her off. These revelations hurt, but they also helped me see that this wasn't just a one-time lapse in judgment. This was a pattern of behavior that I was too blind to see. The hardest part is seeing how this affects Emma. She overheard Rachel on the phone once saying, "Once we're married, I'm sending that kid to boarding school so we can have our lives back." Emma's been having nightmares since we left, thinking she did something wrong. It breaks my heart. Yesterday, she asked me if Rachel didn't want to be her mom anymore. I told her that some grown-ups aren't ready to be parents, and that it had nothing to do with her. "Maybe your new girlfriend will want to be my mom," she said hopefully. Kids are so resilient, but they shouldn't have to be. Emma's school counselor recommended a child therapist to help her process everything, and we've had 2 sessions so far. The therapist says Emma is actually adjusting well considering the circumstances, but that consistency and reassurance are key right now. So I've been making sure to tell her every day how much I love her, how none of this is her fault, and how we're going to be okay, just the two of us. And we are okay, even on the hard days. We've been through tough times before and came out stronger. 3 months later, and Rachel showed up at my door, clearly showing, claiming she's pregnant, and it's mine. According to her, she's about 4 months along, which would put conception right around the time of her bachelorette party. She was wearing a tight dress that emphasized her bump, eyes wide with what looked like practiced innocence. My heart sank into my stomach. My first thought was that it must be one of the Vegas guys, but she swears we had sex the night before she left for her trip, and the timing lines up with that, not the bachelorette weekend. I honestly don't remember if we did or didn't. That week is a blur of wedding preparations, last-minute vendor calls, and trying to prepare Emma for the big changes ahead. I told her I want a paternity test as soon as medically possible. The look on her face when I said this, a flash of panic quickly masked by indignation, told me everything I needed to know. She got angry, saying I'm adding insult to injury by questioning if it's mine. "After 5 years together, this is what you think of me?" she demanded, as if she hadn't given me every reason to doubt her. When I stood firm, she switched tactics, crying about how she needed financial support and that her parents were pressuring her to make things right with me. She literally said, "This could be good for both of us. You always wanted another kid, and now your business is taking off. You can support us comfortably." No mention of love, of us as a family, of what would be best for the child. Just a cold calculation of financial benefit. The way she said it, like I was just an ATM to her. I was disgusted. I stood firm. There's no way I'm accepting responsibility without proof, especially given her history of dishonesty. "You can have the test now or after the baby is born. But either way, I'm not signing anything or giving you a dime until I know for sure," I told her. She left in tears, calling me heartless. This revelation has thrown me back into emotional turmoil. The idea of potentially having a child with Rachel, of being connected to her for the rest of my life, is daunting. I've always wanted more kids, but not like this. Not with someone I can't trust. On the other hand, if it is my child, I want to be involved. I don't want my kid growing up thinking their father abandoned them. I just don't know how to co-parent with someone who betrayed me so thoroughly. What's worse is that Rachel has been using this pregnancy to gain sympathy. She's been posting constantly on social media about being a strong single mom-to-be and how she's been abandoned in her time of need. She never mentions that the paternity is in question, of course. Just vague references to how some men can't handle their responsibilities and how she's better off without the negativity. Each post gets hundreds of sympathetic comments and offers of support from people who have no idea what really happened. She's been making appearances at our old favorite restaurants, shopping at stores she knows I frequent, clearly hoping to run into me and make a scene. I've been avoiding our old haunts, even changing my gym membership to avoid her. It feels like I'm the one being punished despite being the wronged party. Rachel seems to think this pregnancy changes everything, that I'll take her back now that there's a baby involved. She actually suggested we try again for the sake of our child. When I reiterated that the relationship was over, regardless of the paternity test results, she moved on to issuing veiled threats. "You know I could make things very difficult for you if I wanted to," she said during one phone call. "Courts always favor the mother, and I have plenty of friends who would back up my version of events." I've started recording our conversations after that. This led to another round of her family harassing me, calling me a deadbeat before the child is even born. They're conveniently ignoring the fact that I'm willing to take responsibility if the child is mine. I just want verification first. Her father even had the nerve to say, a real man wouldn't question the paternity. He'd step up regardless. I replied, a real father wouldn't want his daughter to trick a man into raising another man's child. That shut him up temporarily. But I know this isn't over. The truth about Rachel's past has been coming out too. One of the bridesmaids, Jenna, called me to apologize. She admitted she was the one who filmed the video and said she regrets her role in encouraging Rachel. According to Jenna, Rachel had been planning to have some fun in Vegas for weeks before the trip, saying things like, "What Dan doesn't know won't hurt him," and "I need one last hurrah before I'm stuck with him and his kid forever." Jenna also confirmed my suspicion that this wasn't Rachel's first time cheating. Apparently, there was an incident about 2 years ago with her boss that Rachel's friends helped cover up. She had been sleeping with him to secure a promotion, then dropped him when she got what she wanted. There had been other incidents too. A fling with a personal trainer, a make-out session with a bartender on a girls' night out, all carefully hidden from me. This was devastating to learn, but also validating. I've been questioning my decision to end things so definitively, wondering if I had overreacted to one mistake. Knowing it was a pattern rather than an isolated incident reaffirmed that I made the right choice. In the midst of all this drama, something unexpected happened. I reconnected with Amanda, an old friend from college who's now a pediatric nurse. We ran into each other at the grocery store, and she invited me and Emma out for ice cream. It was completely innocent, just friends catching up, but it was the first time I genuinely laughed in months. Amanda was always the one who got away. We had chemistry in college, but the timing was never right. She'd been in a long-term relationship, and then I met my ex-wife. She's divorced now, no kids, but always wanted them. She and Emma hit it off immediately, bonding over their shared love of Harry Potter books and ice cream with way too many toppings. After a few casual meetups, a hike with the kids, dinner at a kid-friendly restaurant, I finally asked Amanda on a proper date. We've been seeing each other for about a month now, taking things slow. She knows everything about the situation with Rachel and has been incredibly understanding. She even offered to step back until the paternity situation is resolved, but I don't want to put my life on hold for Rachel's games. Amanda makes me feel valued and respected in a way Rachel never did. She asks about my day and actually listens to the answer. She includes Emma in our plans without me having to ask. She understands that my daughter comes first and wouldn't have it any other way. When Rachel found out I'd been seen with Amanda, small town, people talk, she went ballistic. Apparently, I'm not allowed to move on with my life, even though she's the one who cheated. She actually drove by Amanda's house one night and left a threatening note on her car. "Stay away from my family, or you'll regret it." I've documented everything for the lawyer. The waiting for the paternity test results is excruciating. If the baby is mine, I'll have to find a way to co-parent with Rachel for the next 18 years. I'll love the child, of course. None of this is their fault. But dealing with Rachel's manipulation and drama for 2 decades is a daunting prospect. If it's not, well, I'll have dodged a bullet. But I still feel for that innocent child who will grow up with Rachel as a mother. 6 months later, the paternity test results came back. The baby isn't mine. I can't say I'm surprised, but there was a mix of emotions when I found out. Relief primarily, but also a strange sense of vindication. All her lies exposed at once. The doctor delivered the news with clinical detachment, but the look on Rachel's face was anything but detached. She went from shocked to devastated to calculating in the span of seconds, already trying to figure out how to spin this latest development. I should back up and explain what else happened during those 6 months. Remember that construction project I was managing? It was a major revitalization of the downtown area, and it caught the attention of some investors. Long story short, I was approached about starting my own firm with their backing. The timing was perfect. I needed a fresh start, and this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. After months of meetings, business plans, and negotiations, I signed the papers last week. I now have my own construction company specializing in sustainable urban renewal projects, and we're already winning bids for major contracts. None of this would have happened if I'd still been with Rachel, who always discouraged me from taking risky career moves. She thought entrepreneurship was for dreamers, and the stability of a regular paycheck was the only sensible path. Why rock the boat when things are comfortable? She'd say, whenever I talked about my ambitions to start my own firm someday. I see now how she subtly undermined my confidence, made me doubt my abilities, kept me comfortable but stagnant. Breaking free from her allowed me to finally pursue my passion and potential. During those 6 months, I also discovered that Rachel had been bad-mouthing me to anyone who would listen, claiming I was abusive, that I mistreated Emma, that I was financially controlling. She even tried to contact my former company's HR department to get me fired, claiming I had stolen company property. Complete BS. Fortunately, my old boss knew me better than that and warned me about what she was doing. She called me directly,